Alright, okay, good evening everyone. So we get started for the new week over here. Welcome to the stream. Good. So as usual we'll get started. But of course first thing first, quick housekeeping disclaimer. Okay, everything that we'll be covering in today's session solely based on my personal point of view. They do not directly translate to any form of signals or trade advisory, okay? Now, for those of you who are fairly new, joining in maybe for the first few times, every Monday I run a session like that to share with you the overview of the market, highlight some of the opportunities, what are some of the things I'm looking at, okay, and also a very quick opportunity for you to ask questions, right? If you're anything that you would like to find a little bit more about market, feel free to just put it into the chat box. I'll be able to take a look at them and answer your questions accordingly, okay? So, yep, first day of the week. My general routine is to always look at the events calendar. Kind of understand what are some of the major impacts that major impact news that you probably want to be aware of going into the week, right? Especially if you're trading any of this, right? Now this week over here, tomorrow we do have the Clement count change from the UK, so that would have a little bit impact on the UK pound, right? Obviously, if you're trading GBP, tomorrow you may want to be factoring in the possible increased volatility coming from this news. Okay, but other than that, my focus here very much will be on Wednesday evening where we have the US CPI year-on-year data. Okay, now obviously the CPI data is going to be very, very important because that would also have an impact in whether the Fed will be cutting rates, earlier this year, and also potentially increasing the frequency of rate cuts, right? As of now, the expected rate cut is once by the end of this year, right? So going into somewhere nearer towards maybe November, that's the current expectation. Okay, but of course with data coming in, on month-to-month basis, that expectation may shift, okay, and that would naturally have an impact in the market itself, okay. So this week we don't really have a lot of event. To me, one of the more important ones are gonna be Wednesday evening US CPI year-on-year data, okay. So have that in mind as we are going into the week, okay, as you're looking at some of the opportunities. If you're trading dollar related asset, okay, just bear that in mind. Increased volatility potential in on Wednesday itself, okay. So good. With that said, let's go through some of the overview, right? Some of the analysis that I have over here as well. So first thing first, we have the dollar index. Okay. So DXY over here, I'm expecting short-term move to the downside. Okay, potentially coming back and retest the previous low at 103.90 zone. Last week we did get a nice little pullback, okay, towards the 618. We get an impulsive drop and then a pullback. Right now the market seems to be respecting that 618 and seems to be coming down a little bit more. I would say, overall directional bias is definitely bearish. But if you want to get involved in the potential sell in the dollar, my personal take is maybe you want to wait for some kind of a mini pullback, right? Because at the moment, the market is coming down a little bit. Okay, but take note that Monday market usually, I call it a fake move, right? Because oftentimes what I observe is if the market starts to go lower on Monday, there's a good possibility it will pull back. Okay, on Tuesday, then maybe continue in its real move after that, right? So I call Monday quite a bit like a fake move, right? So that's also something that personally I don't really like to get involved in any trade on Monday. But Monday is a very good time, to come in, take a look at the market, see how it's developing, and then analyze it, of course. So that's my take on the dollar index. Okay. Short term we are looking at downside. Okay, that means this week here my focus is very much looking to sell the dollar. And of course then that would translate to euro dollar being bullish, right? So euro dollar, there are a couple of ways we can actually kind of decode what the pattern is doing right now. My primary take right now is a very, very simple pattern, right? We have the bottom here. Okay, and I'm looking at this as a simple 1, 2, 3, right? And of course the internals here would then be a 1, 2, 3. Okay, so short term here will be definitely bullish, right? As the dollar continue weakens, there's a good chance that euro dollar will continue rally. The only thing that may be a little bit unclear at the moment is this corrective pattern structure, right? Are we just seeing this as a corrective pattern, or are we seeing more of a bigger one before the pushback up? Okay, so again, that's something that we probably need to give time to the market, right? Because as of now, again, I don't really like Monday market pushes like that, right? Because there's a good possibility maybe tomorrow it will just come back down, tag this low, and then only U-turn, right? So I'll see. Direction is pretty clear, right? I'll rather focus on the upside at the moment. But in terms of like how to get involved, what is the setup? Probably we need to see how the market continue to develop and evolve throughout the week itself. Okay. So that's something to note, right? The target right now I'm looking at is somewhere around 1.0885, which is essentially where that previous high is as well, right? Pretty nice little confluence. Okay, so euro dollar definitely want a pair to look out for opportunities to the upside. Okay, pound dollar here as well. But pound dollar here again, you know, I would say the complexity of this is really, you know, are we gonna see a third wave down, right? So we're definitely bullish bias. The question is more of, is the market gonna give us one more push down before the rally, right? So to kind of complete this as a simple 1, 2, 3, or is this all it is, and we start to see, you know, the move up with this low being established? Now, obviously, we won't know which one it is, right? At the moment, we'll probably need to give time and see how market continue to develop. Then we have a high odds of knowing, you know, are we gonna see one more push down, or are we gonna start seeing upside already? So what I would like to see is how the market is gonna develop here, right? So understanding the alternative perspective of the market is also important as a trader, because you can then prepare yourself for alternative solution, right? So if one happens, that's how I'm gonna react to the market, right? And if the second scenario happen, how am I gonna respond and trade it? Okay. So if you have multiple scenarios planned out in mind, then it's easier for you to manage your expectation as the market continue to develop, right? You will not be like suddenly in a surprise environment and, you know, do not know what's happening. So GBP USD is a very good example of that, right? So direction wise, I'm very clear, right? I'm not interested in the sell side. Even if this is gonna come back down here, I'm not interested in the sell. I'm only interested in the upside. The only question I need to then figure out as the market continue to develop is, am I gonna be looking at a buy here, or am I comfortable buying somewhere there, right? So that really comes back to the point I mentioned, how price is gonna develop moving forward from here. Okay, so pound dollar, bullish bias, but in terms of like potential setups and entry, you probably need to monitor a little bit more. Okay, Aussie dollar, I'm also bullish. Okay, I think this is very much similar to the pound dollar kind of explanation, right? I would say that overall we are expecting, you know, more upside, but of course this one here, ideally we want to see some kind of a 3-wave correction before the upside. So this one I think probably need to be a little bit more patient. Okay, simply because the structure here really kind of indicate that we may get this 3-wave. Okay, yeah, so pretty clear cut direction, but I don't think this is a potential setup that we can get this week, right? Aussie dollar maybe is a trade going into the following week, right? But I don't think we're gonna get anything this week here. Okay, that's my take. The dollar Canadian, I'm bearish, right? So if we can get a little bit of a pullback, okay, then I'll be expecting the market to give us one more move towards a target at 1.3570. Okay, so kind of complete this channel structure here, right? 1, 2, 3, and then after that upside. So this week, focus direction would be bearish as long as price remains below this high. any corrective pullback can then be seen as a sell trade opportunity. Okay, this is another pair that I'm personally looking out for as well. Dollar yen, I'm neutral at the moment. It's just really not clear what pattern structure is developing. This looks three-wave pretty impulsive. If we can get some kind of a three-wave correction here, then of course that will be a sell, but for this to develop, it needs time. Okay, and I don't think we're gonna get anything within this month, right? Looking at this scale, this proportion, for it to form a three clear wave like that, probably going into next month, right? So nothing much on my table at the moment. Gold trade, okay, pretty clear pattern. You know, I know of a trader personally in our community who managed to take this buy. Pretty solid run. Okay, the market came towards the 618, very nice little reaction at the moment. I'm neutral because there are a couple of ways this can turn and develop, right? So gold here, if this continue to comes down with momentum, then we are likely going to see this as a 1, 2, and maybe 3, right? Now, if this eventually turn into something like that, okay, which is basically a bigger corrective structure, then we'll start to see more upside. Okay, so gold here, I'm neutral for the next couple of days, depending on how the market is going to turn out. We may get something, right? Whether are we looking for more downside or are we looking for more upside, really depends on next couple of days how the market is going to develop. Okay, so that's on gold. Crude oil, very nice little reaction of the 618 as well. So this one I'm bullish, right? Again, we are seeing this as a three-wave done, completed move. The minimum expectation I have for crude oil right now is some kind of a pullback towards 50%. If the pullback is going to be corrective, then we can expect more downside after which. However, if the pullback starts to go impulsive in nature, okay, then obviously, you know, we'll continue to be bullish on that. But for now, you don't need to be, you know, looking at too far off, right? At the moment here, we're looking at this move. Okay, so crude oil potential target is somewhere around $82.50. Bias right now for the week is bullish. S&P 500, I'm gonna be neutral, expecting some kind of a pullback soon. Okay, in fact, if you're interested in taking some kind of a counter trend trade, okay, that might be something that you can keep an eye on as well, right? Because few things here I'm looking at: three-wave completed, fib area. This looks crawlish in nature already, right? The market is obviously right now losing a little bit of a steam to the upside, and therefore we're kind of expecting some kind of a pullback. Okay, so I'm still neutral because we really haven't get some kind of confirmation from the market, right? We want to see some kind of impulsive drop. Then we know, all right, the market is reversing, the market is pulling back. But for now, we haven't seen that yet. So I'm just being neutral. You know, as the days goes by, we'll see how the market develops. Okay, pound yen, odd yen, very much similar to the dollar yen. I'm just gonna be neutral and be patient on this. I'm not gonna touch them. Okay, then we have the pound Australia. Pound Australia is another pair. I'm having it in my watch list for the week. Okay, so over here we are seeing a pretty clean development at the moment, right? So we have a fast push down, and then the market currently is developing like a crawl structure or ending diagonal, right? So the expectation here is, you know, either we get an impulsive break above this high, we'll obviously look for an upside, or the market gave us another push back down, and then somewhere around the zone we'll be looking for the bounce. Okay, so bias here is definitely bullish, right? Because every time I see a pattern structure that looks something like that, we are expecting some kind of reversal. Okay, so clear direction. Timing wise, we'll probably just need to wait for a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 more days, right, to give us that bit of confirmation in terms of like where the market is likely heading next. Okay, so pound odd is another potential opportunity to keep an eye on. I think this week we may get something out of this trade here. Okay, Euro Canadian, really nothing there, neutral because it's a V-shaped formation. I'm just gonna leave it for now, nothing there. Bitcoin, very interesting. Okay, definitely bullish on this, right? I think we may get something on Bitcoin maybe this week here as well. Okay, so at the moment, what we're seeing is that we have this impulsive push. This looks corrective for now. We did come very close to the 618, have a minor bounce. Haven't really break out of that structure yet. Okay, I mean this trend line here. But direction is quite bullish, right? I mean it's quite clear. The only thing here is this can come back down and then only make another move too, right? So to be conservative, okay, if you are looking at buy, then your conservative stop loss should be at this low. Okay, because the thing is the market can come back down as long as it doesn't break this low. Okay, the odds of it going higher, having this as a corrective structure, is still pretty high, right? So the overall direction is definitely bullish. Okay, it's a matter of like what is the technique that you want to use to get involved in the trade, right? What's your entry technique and management technique, etc. Okay, so BTC is definitely something to note, right? So those are some of the things to note. Some global indices, right? I think S&P and the NASDAQ pretty much the same. Short term, probably some kind of a pullback there. German index made a break out of the structure impulsively, right? So this one here, I'll update this a little bit. Okay, we'll be likely looking at this as a simple 5-wave structure development. Okay, Okay, I think the FIP structure confluenced that pretty neatly as well. So probably wave 3 hasn't really completed yet, right? Let me just bring this up. Okay, so wave 3 may continue to develop a little bit more. Okay, we have the 100% here. So if we start to see some kind of an impulsive breakdown, then we'll look at this again as a 1, 2, 3, and then we expect a pullback and continuation to the upside. If the pullback is just very shallow and the market continue higher, then reaching that 1618 will give us a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I'm naturally leaning a little bit more towards a 5-wave structure. Okay, because the index market oftentimes will develop in wave of 5, right? So what I'm looking here is potentially some kind of a maybe minor pullback. Okay, because it broke that high, probably some kind of minor pullback, but then after that probably extending a little bit higher, okay, to give us that wave 3. Okay, then of course a pullback to 4 and 5. Okay, so overall I think right now here is definitely bullish, right? The only part here is how aggressive you want in looking for a buy opportunity. The thing here is you can look out for areas here, okay, for a buy area, and then couple it with some kind of a corrective pattern to give you the additional confluence for upside. Right, so this is on German. That's definitely a good opportunity to keep an eye on if you're trading indices. Okay, FTSE, not something I would lean towards at the moment. We'll definitely want to wait for some kind of a pullback before getting involved in the buy, right? I mean, this is kind of hitting a little bit of a uncharted territory. Okay, the market hasn't really kind of like have some reference point, so always just wait for the pullback. Okay, I mean if you want, you can even look for areas here. Okay, so this is the area in which the market consolidated a little bit before the push up. So wait for the pullback and then we can get involved, right? So for me, I think this one here, probably not much opportunity. Okay, then we have the A50. A50 is naturally going to be bullish. Okay, the Chinese government is starting to do QE, right? It's going into QE, right? So we are likely going to see a little bit more upside on the China market. Okay, so any sort of a pullback, right? I would say is definitely a buy opportunity. This is definitely bullish. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so wait for a corrective pullback if you're looking at A50. Okay, any corrective pullback would definitely be a buy opportunity for this. Hang Seng, pretty much the same. Okay, basically the market is just going up pretty impulsive. Okay, any corrective pullback is definitely a buy opportunity. Okay, this one here seems to have completed that 3 wave. Likely developing some kind of a pullback here, right? Okay, so this one here may be doing something like that. If you can come back in 3, 1, 2, 3, then of course that would be a corrective structure for upside too. Okay, this Aussie, right? So Australia index, area to look out for 7655, 7620. Those are the areas that you can keep watch. Okay, Swiss side, again, very impulsive push, right? So likely we'll structure this as a 5 wave move to the upside. That's third wave up. Okay, so something like this. Again, wave 3 would probably terminate somewhere around at that previous high. So pretty nice confluence here for some kind of a reaction. Okay, now if there's going to be a wave 3 there, then of course your invalidation needs to be the part where a retracement back down, okay, shouldn't come into the territory of wave 1, right, which is where this invalidation is. Okay, so if we do a bit of a forecast here, wave 4 often is going to be around the fib retracement of 236 and 382, from wave 2 to wave 3, right? So that's where the likelihood of that retracement is going to come in, right? And then if this correction is corrective, I mean this pullback is corrective itself, then we can expect one more pushback up to complete wave 5 and therefore breaking that structure. Okay, so this on the Switzerland index, right? If you're looking at that now, obviously there's some opportunities here for you as well. Cool. Okay, yeah, so generally that's the updates that I have from my side. Okay, just a quick one over here. No, let me just bring it up first, right? Give me some time. Okay. I'm not sure how many of you are aware that I run a EA, right? We call expert advisor. Okay, or some traders would now call it trade automation, robot trading, you know, or the new hype keyword is called AI, right? So I run trade automation for some time already. I have accounts running back all the way back in June 2021. Okay, and it has been running like 100% automated since then. This account here started last year in May. Okay, it started last year in May, as a PAM, right? As a PAM. So for those of you who are not familiar with PAM, PAM basically is just similar concept of copy trade, but it's slightly different in its nuances, right? Because copy trade, the copier would need to understand the setting and do all the setting by themselves. But for PAM, structure is different, where the copier or the investor as a PAM account wouldn't need to do much of a setting. Okay, so this performance you can see over here on a month-to-month basis on average is about 3%. Okay, and we have been running this since May last year, right? Of course, there are some months that it's performing better. Some months is about like 1% here. This year result, February is a little bit slow, but on the average, this is about 3% per month. Okay, as of now. Now, why am I sharing you this? Because if you are interested to be an investor in this PAM, okay, do let me know if you're keen. I can probably drop you a little bit more information about it. But more importantly is, I'm planning a small little casual meetup session. Okay, in June, right? 1st of June. it's a physical meetup, right? That's gonna be happening in KL PJ area, right? So it's based in Malaysia, and I just want to openly invite some of you guys who have been following me on YouTube, social media, etc. Okay, if you're keen to understand a bit more about this, you're keen to just maybe join in, network with fellow traders and investors, kind of casual meetup. It's not gonna be a workshop or sort of. It's just gonna be a meetup where I share a little bit about this, update a little bit about automation in trading, update a little bit about the second half of the year, what are my outlook and things like that, right? So basically, it's a networking event. Okay, I'm planning one on the 1st of June, in KLPJ area, right? It's a physical thing. So I'm just putting out there, open invitation. If you're interested, let me know. Reach out to me. I want to gauge the general interest, how many people are coming before we can't officially organize it, right? Okay, so that's something I just want to put it out there. Okay. So yeah, that's all from me for today. I hope overall sharing with you, update you on the outlook for the week, give you some ideas and insights to work on for this trading week itself. Okay, yeah, so that's all for today's session here. All the best for this trading week. And I'll see you guys in the next session. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.